in our country. Such things like the fact that the federal government and organized labor have agreed on 70,000 naira as the new national minimum wage. My people, may we talk about this morning. Good morning and welcome, our newspaper review family. Yes, it is the newspaper review on your Women Radio 91.7. My name is Miracle Phillip. I get to be your host on this dial, on this program, as we get to navigate the discussions and also talk about them as they affect us as a people and as a nation. Don't forget that you can get to follow us across our social media platforms on Facebook, on X, on Instagram, on YouTube at WFM 917. Equally, drop an SMS or a WhatsApp message to 0703 175 6537. And also, in the course of our discussion this morning, we will be joined by our newspaper analyst, Adetun Adebogun, as we discuss the headlines from across the various national dailies this morning. Of course, we'll be looking at the different papers and getting to discuss about them with you as well. And just to let you know that your voice is very important right here on the newspaper review. But also the fact that while we are communicating our concerns, we can ensure that we're using the right language on air. All right? No insult, no crude language on anyone, just fact while expressing your opinions. And I'll be here to navigate the discussion so far as we progress. All right, so we take a look at the headlines this morning. Yes, just to let you know that you must be attentive to these and getting to read them extensively so that you're backed up with of every of the headlines and then you're able to argue intelligently. We'll start off with the Punch newspaper this morning. Ndume National Assembly, now enabler of executive recklessness, says Atiku. Katsina elders urge Tinubu to reshuffle cabinet, halt insecurity. Rep distributes 600 bags of fertilizers to Kogi farmers. Minimum wage, National Assembly gets bill Tuesday as Tinubu Labour agree on 70,000 naira. Boronu PDP chieftain says Boko Haram attacks rubbish government victory claim. And now to the Vanguard newspaper. Boronu police arrest 24-year-old suspect for killing grandfather. Legal aid counsel to represent 42 Kuje prisons inmates in court. Drug trafficking trial. A court declines to quash charge against Abakiari. Akwa Ibom NYC 8. Abductors demand 50 million naira to release remaining victims. Husband stops wife's lawyer over divorce suit. And now to the Nation newspaper. Federal government, labor, organized private sector, okay, 70,000 naira as minimum wage. Edo Okwebuho hospitalized after attack in Benin. Bill on Council Electoral Commission tabled. CBN resumes forex sales to BDCs. Boronu police arrest 24-year-old suspect for killing grandfather. And on to this day newspaper. Bago, we've maintained democratically elected leadership in our local governments. Sani, striving to fulfill promise made to Kaduna people. Shatima seeks sustainable global collaboration to drive Nigeria's economic inclusion. We don't provide security for illegal mining sites. Miners, CDS, IG deny claims. To curb market distortions, bridge exchange premium gap. CBN approves additional foreign exchange sale to BDCs at 1,450 naira to a dollar. On Daily Trust newspaper, why we accepted 70,000 naira minimum wage, labor. Uniloring wins JAM's 500 million naira Best Institution Award. Clock ticking on Biden as pressure to quit race increases. Niger community decries attacks on residents by unknown assailants. Kenya, win for Gen Zs as court suspends police ban on protests. And finally, on the pen pushing newspaper this morning, reminiscence. I never broke into radio station during military era, but sneaked in to retrieve offensive material, says Shoyinka. Governor Abiodun awards students scholarships to celebrate Shoyinka. Ogun State government to begin massive road construction as Executive Council approves construction of additional 5 roads. Nigerian government makes U-turn, asks Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board institutions to admit candidates from 16 years. Nigeria Liquid Natural Gas Company clears air on payment of $27.5 million to Federal Inland Revenue Service. And these are the headlines that you find across the national dailies this morning. You can do a favor, yourself a favor of grabbing a copy of any of your choice newspapers and getting to read extensively for the details. But of course, so we will be discussing these headlines this morning and having the required interactions also from your end. So don't forget the phone lines are 07000 for you to get to call in and also drop an SMS or a WhatsApp message. It is 0703 175 We'll also be joined by Adeton Adebogun this morning as we get to navigate the conversations. But don't forget, you can follow us across our social media platforms on Facebook, on Instagram, on X, on YouTube at WFM 917. All right, we're being joined now by Adeton. Good morning to you, Adeton. Welcome.
Good morning, Miracle. Thank God it's Friday.
Oh, yeah. Thank God it's Friday. How are you doing this morning?
Well, I'm actually doing good. It's really been hustling, buzzing here and there, but the week has really, really been good, and I thank God for that.
All right, beautiful. And just as you said, the week has been good, but also the headlines might have been disturbing or not disturbing. So we'd like to catch on what particular headlines struck for you in the course of the week.
Well, I think I'll start with the official launch of the student loan scheme by the President earlier this week. And it's really something that's come to stay. But, there's still some little bit of doubt here and there from some quarters, especially according to Dr. Akitunde Sawyer, who mentioned the fact that some students of higher institutions based in Nigeria South are not applying for the loans because they doubt the viability of the loan and the scheme. And you know that Dr. Akitunde Sawyer is the managing director of the Nigerian Education Loan Fund. Okay. He also mentioned that the launch of the disbursement of loan will also be is actually going to start very soon. So it's expected that this is not like it's been launched and then it will take a while before disbursements are done. He also noted that most students from the north, he said students from the north, the larger part of the north, applied for the loans owing to better coordination by the tertiary institutions in those regions. And, he further emphasized that in the southern part, there is a growing awareness and interest that is still going on just to ensure that they have more students in that region. But he also said that more university students had applied for the loans than students of polytechnics and college of education. Another thing that actually caught my attention, this scheme is actually to try as much as possible to encourage access to education and also help, the less privileged students who are not able to afford it, and so that we can have more students, being educated. He now said that students of private institutions were actually excluded from the scheme. And the reason is that because they charge more expensive school fees, and that if the government funded private university students, it would be unable to meet the expectation of the initiative, which I actually agree, because that definitely there are different fees from private institutions and government institutions, but I think this is largely a government-related scheme for which is targeted at just government institutions. Noting the national president of Association of Nigerian Students, mentioned the fact that the loans were accessible to all students, irrespective of the background. And I think this is good. Remember, we mentioned some bottlenecks,
Yes.
the criteria for accessing these loans, which would actually disenfranchise some Nigerian students from accessing it. So I want to believe that this has been resolved and reviewed, and that's why, irrespective of background, age, state, or regional parts of the country you come from, you can actually access that. And also want to believe that the earlier quote where it just says, it's within the civil servants and all that, has actually been removed. So it means that it's accessible to as many students that are in government institutions, which is a commendable review. Another one that caught my attention has to do with the fact that Justice James Omotosho, Federal High Court in Abuja, voided the impeachment of Felix Schreiber as the Deputy Governor of Edo State. The justice mentioned the fact that and he ordered, that Schreiber should be reinstated to the office of the Edo State because the Edo State House of Assembly failed to comply with due process in impeaching him. And I'm sure you remember he was actually impeached.
Yes.
As the court is saying, they didn't actually follow due process in doing that. And the court held that the allegations on which the House of Assembly based the impeachment proceedings was untenable in the law and did not constitute gross misconduct. And the reason is actually the rift between when Obaseki, of course, the governor, declined to endorse Schreiber's bid for governor. And when you have saying, I want to also run for governorship, kind of scenarios that will come up. But in addition,